Now, what is a pivot table? Pivot table is basically a table of stats that summarizes the data for you. You all have heard that there is something called as a pivot table in Excel. But what is this pivot table? This pivot table is nothing, but it's a table of a stats. That means statistics, which summarizes your data to get the sum, to get average, sometimes to get the count as well, and many other statistical measures. So what are those statistical measures will be? Sum, average, minimum, maximum, maybe count, or running total, running average, median, mode, whatever it is, you will get it. For example, let's say if you assume that we have got a data of a real estate, okay, a real estate project with different fields. Like you have the fields for the flat, you have the field of block names, area of individual apartment, and their costs for various services, etc. Then how you're going to deal with those type of data sets? So basically, to deal with these type of data sets, what you basically need is that you get a pivot table. Because whenever a data becomes very huge, okay, in that point of time, it's very difficult to read through that data. It's very difficult that you go to each of the lines, apply a formula, and you get that data set, and you get those data or aircraft, you get those data combined together. So for that reason, we always use this type of pivots for that purpose itself, to create a pivot. Because first thing is that pivot is something which will actually give you a smaller view, and it will give you accurate results. Moreover, pivots are never duplicate records. Pivots never happens to contain any duplicate set of records or any duplicate set of data. Now, how pivots are considered? Let's see an example. Let's say this is my data set. I'll just minimize this for you guys. And let's say if this is my data set, where I have some number, type, block name, area, maintenance deposit, and final product value. So this was I was talking about the real estate data. Okay, now I have to create a pivot out of this because it's really a huge data set. Now, if I would say that how much area is for Mickey, how much area is for strawberry, how much area is for Chiku, you want to find out. So that's become very difficult. And also the sum of maintenance deposit, the final product value. If you want to find out all these stuff, so how can you do that, right? So for that reason, what you can do is you basically just select this data. Either by the click, you can go to insert and there's an option of pivot table. So you can get a pivot table and a pivot chart. So if you want to enter a table, so that will be a tabular expression. So you can create a pivot table. Now, once you click over here, it will ask you the range. The range is already selected. Now, if you want to, by default, it selects for a new worksheet. But if you want to enter it in the same worksheet, you can just simply go to the existing worksheet and you can simply give it over here and click OK. So here your pivot table will be there. Now, it gives you report filter, column labels, row labels, and values. So row labels means whatever you want to see per row. Let's say for the block name, I want to see the area, sum of area. I want to see the final product value and the maintenance deposit. So I want to see the maintenance deposit sum, but for the final product value, I want to basically see its average. So this is how I get a table form of a view, which is a tabular form. Now, if you see for Chiku, I get a sum of area as for 14,126. So it was very tough for here to decide, like it's 14,126, how it is getting. So I need to see for Chiku. If I see for it, I have to go manually. Like here, this one. So first is this, then this, then probably this, and then it is this, and then it's this. So I get a sum of this one. So this is how it's basically making it. Now pivot tables will never have any duplicate values. If you ever take it and ever show it to some person, it will never have any duplicate value, never. That's a best thing to have in it, that it will never ever get you through any duplicate values or any of that stuff. Okay. So that's how it works, and that's how it actually works, and that's how it gives you a more detailed view of the data. Okay. So that is a pivot table for us, guys. That's a pivot table. Now, if let's suppose with this data only, I want to enter a pivot chart. With this, I want to enter a pivot chart in the existing workbook itself. And let's say I want to enter it here. So now I want to have a chart to build for. Let's say there should be a filter of type. There should be block name. There should be area. And just finding product. So kind of this way I want to see it. Now, if I open this, I can have a select multiple. And I just want to see for these three maybe. So see, my chart has been restricted to these. So in a similar way, you can create chart, and that chart will automatically create a table for you as well. So that's also a very good visual to watch for. So charts also create visuals. Now, if you want to design this, like for example, in this case, I have the option to design it. So you go to designing. You do not show subtotals if you do not want to. You off the rows and columns grand total. You on the rows columns grand total. You can change the report layout as well, like in a compact form or maybe in a tabular form probably. Then maybe the design of it, you can change it to any design as per your likings, like this. So these are something. Then you have banded rows like this way, or banded columns if you want to. You want to show the row headers, you want to show the column headers as colored, up to you how you want to show that. Then you have various options, like you can name it a pivot table, you can have a block name, or maybe something, or you can expand the entire field, you can collapse the entire field, you can have group, ungroup, you can sort the data, insert slicers according to it. For let's say example, for the block name, I can enter the slicers. So if I enter these slicers and I change for it, see, this works. So that's a very interactive sort of a thing that and in fact, I can like have a pivot connection also, that this pivot table is related to which analysis or which table. So that is also one of a very important thing. So you have other options as well. You can refresh it. So whenever your data changes, you can refresh it. In fact, you can change the data source also. If you want to change the data source, you can simply go to change data source and you can change your data source very easily. So that is also one. Okay, that option also you have available. Then you have option to, let's say, clear for, give me a second. Okay, you have clear, you can select, you can move your pivot table, you can summarize by values, you can show values. So whatever you want to do, you can do it in any which way. Similarly, for the charts also, you have this designing option. You can have charts like this way, you can have charts like this. I mean, it's up to you what colors you want to choose for. Like, let's say I want to choose for this. Look pretty nice. And here I want to choose for this value. Then maybe change chart type. If you want to change it from a chart to a line chart, I could probably do that. You can switch your rows and columns like this way. You can switch the data if you want. So there's a lot of things you can do from this analysis, from this part. Like you have a layout wherein you can have some text box, you can have chart tile, you can have access legends, anything. In fact, if you want to format anything, if you want to analyze the data, so you'll have a field button, you can insert a slicer for this. For this also, I can insert a slicer. Let's say for the type only, I insert a slicer. Let's say right now I want to see for this. So see, it's changed. Now it shows for each of them. So this is how it works. In fact, if you go to the slicers, you have this option to bring it as well. Like you will have a pivot table connection that with what pivots you want to make the slices connect to. Like right now it is with pivot table analysis. If I wanted with this also, if I wanted with this also, I can click on that. So accordingly now, right now, if I change the C, the upper value also changed. So this is something wherein I make a connection to the data set that, okay, according to my data set, it will show me the values. This value is also changing and the chart is also changing. So these are a kind of interactive charts or interactive pivot table that we create. So pivot is a very good option. It's one of an advanced level option wherein you can create all these types of interactive things, interactive sort of dashboards, interactive sort of a data sets, which will not only uh, help you with all this capabilities, but it will also help you with looking for the data, with looking for the data sets, with looking for all the values for everything else. So you can make your charts dynamic. Okay. So that's also a very major part of it, that you can make your charts dynamic, you can make it all through the data, you can change accordingly, you can make slices according to your work, and moreover, you have the options of formatting any styles, any formats. Like for example, right now, if I want to format it to any which ways, I can format it in a way. I want to bring it forward, bring it backward. I want to send it to back. I want to have a selection pane. I can do anything with it. I want to align it in a way like snap to grid or anything. I can do it. Snap to shape. So I can do it in any which ways. So basically, my concern is that you can format your data in any which ways possible, and accordingly your data and charts are going to change. And moreover, this is a one-time job that you do. So once you created it one time, then you don't have to create it again. You don't need further creation of this. What you do is you just have created one time, and then you can just refresh your data. So once you click on this pivot table, you have this option. These are for designs. Once you click on this pivot table, and sorry, once you click on this, you have a data and you have a refresh option. So let's say if your table changes and maybe you put up a new data over here. Let's suppose, for example, I put up a new data. Maybe for Donald's, and I give it as 2419.86 and give this as 432156. Let's say I give it as 156 7232, probably this. So this is something which is a new entry which I have here. I want to show them is this data. So I just click on this. I go to the data and I say refresh on. See, as soon as I did it, the number for Denard changed, completely changed. Earlier it was something else and now it is something else. Numbers have changed as I've added a new data. And let's say if I have not made it as Donald, I have made it as Ferry. And now if I'm going to refresh, I'm sorry. So see, the data have changed. So this is how basically your data changes. So you just need to save that. And once you go over here, Say refresh all, and accordingly you get your data accordingly. Or maybe now I just go for the result again. And see, numbers changes. So this is something which is like a refresh sort of a thing you are doing in your data, in your data sets, in your data, you are refreshing it. So this is how data changes. This is how data works. So that's how you look for that data set. That's how you work with the data set. So these are something which helps you with the designing part of it, which helps you to create some interactive dashboards in Excel and helps you to do some pivot analysis. Like this is a simple